Okay, friends. So I had some studies in the can ready to go for this, but then I started kind of going online looking up obesity rates because it got me interested. Um, and I stumbled upon the stateofchildhoodobesity.org site, and they actually were talking about adult obesity rates, which was interesting. So I kind of, like I said, I dove into it and looking at some of these notes, and I decided to check on Oregon. So here's a map as of 2019, I believe. This is current as of 2019. In 2018, the most recent Oregon data we had, the adult obesity rate, as you can see down here, is said to be 29.9%. But then if you look down here, it says 95% confidence interval not available, which is it's a warning sign to me. It means that you can't actually differentiate between Oregon and other states. This is a very confusing looking graph. It shows each state and its obesity percentage going from 1990 up through 2018. So I just kept looking in, and eventually I stumbled upon a very rigorously researched paper by a number of folks, published a while ago, 2008. But the difference here was these folks were looking to the future. Will all Americans at some point become overweight or obese based on trends? And I'm not so much worried about that. I'm concerned with how they got their data. Compared with other available data sources, the NHANES provides high quality, directly measured height and weight data from nationally representative samples, and the data are comparable over time. That, to me, is the biggest difference between the Gallup poll and this. It has nothing to do with margins of error. It has everything to do with the quality of the data. We're not asking people how much they weigh or how tall they are. We're measuring them. And what's interesting is the results. So here's a fun little look at some of the charts in the back. We're going to focus only on one section of the chart. I want you to realize something. This is not just obesity, this is overweight and obese. Overweight and obese. So these percentages are going to be much larger than the ones in the Gallup poll, but that's because they include not only overweight folks, not only obese folks, but also overweight folks. What I want you to focus on is the group is all adults, 20 years and older, all genders, all ethnicities. This report was released in 2008. They predicted by 2010 between 68.4 and 73.1% of the U.S. would be overweight or obese, meaning that their sample prediction was 70.8, but when they applied a margin of error of plus or minus whatever to it, you end up with this confidence interval. So you shouldn't say that we think 70.8% will be overweight or obese. What you should say instead is we believe that between 68.4% and 73.1% will be overweight or obese. Same thing in 2020, same thing in 2030. I would not put too much faith in the estimates for 2020 and 2030. They are assuming that a trend is still going to be going upward at the same rate. I always get nervous when they start extrapolating out for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. I just think it's a dangerous game to play. What I like about it, though, is they are actually giving what they call a projection interval, which means a confidence interval on their projections. So I think this is a really neat look at the proper use of a margin of error. All right, next video, we'll do a bit of a wrap up. We'll get you into your homework.